was a shocking race day.
Oh, and Earnhardt gets dirt. Elliott hard in the ball.
Monday was a shocking race day.
Michael goes around it. He has spun it.
Sunday was Talladega, the fastest action, the closest racing, the wildest wrecks.
Monday was Nazareth. Cars on fire. Crew guys nailed. Did I mention cars on fire?
All your questions answered from Sunday.
Everything you missed on Monday.
RPM Tonight is next.
Wally Dallenbach Jr. and Team Sabco have agreed to part ways effective immediately. He'll be replaced on an interim basis by Morgan Shepherd and Tommy Kendall. Kendall will drive the car at the 2 road course races. Sources have told me that Dallenbach is a candidate to step into the number 50 car when Randy LaJoie's stint as a relief driver for Ricky Craven is up following the Dover race at the end of May. Dallenbach has also been mentioned as a possible relief driver for Mike Skinner, but Mike Dillon will drive the number 31 car this weekend at California. Hello, everyone. I'm John Kernan. The Professor Benny Parsons will be along in a moment to help us wrap up this past weekend's racing action at Talladega. Before we get to that, the Kart FedEx Championship Series was supposed to race Sunday, but rain pushed the Nazareth 225 back to Monday. And a couple of teammates probably didn't mind the fact they had to stay over an extra day. We pick up the action at the start. Patrick Carpentier on the pole, and he gets the jump on Greg Moore. But before they complete the first lap, points leader Adrian Fernandez hits the wall, and his day is done. On the restart, lap 11, Michael Andretti takes and makes the move on the outside to take the lead from Carpentier. 62 laps in trouble for Elio Castroneves. He hits the wall in turn number 3. And during the caution, Scott Pruitt's car catches fire. They put it out, but that was basically it for him. And watch Mark Blundell's vent man in the shot coming up, Tim Douthit. He falls down, hits the rear tire, but he was okay after being checked out. More problems for Blundell. He hits the wall and was taken to a hospital. He was having blurred vision. Fortunately, Mark checked out okay. Pit road opens up. Most of the cars come in for pit stops, including Andretti, who had led for 102 laps. But 3 guys stay out. Brian Herta, Jimmy Vasser, and Robbie Gordon. They line up 1, 2, 3. On the restart, Andretti running 4th, spins on cold tires and hits the wall. Everyone miraculously avoids him. We take another look at it at a different angle. And watch, when Michael just gets on the gas to come up to speed, the car just spins out from under him. It was very cold there. 70 laps to go. Vasser goes to the inside, takes the lead away from Herta. But he gave up that lead when he pitted under green. 13.3 seconds for 4 tires and fuel. When the pit stop cycled around, Vasser was up front. His teammate Alex Zanardi was right behind him. 19 laps to go. Mauricio Gugelmin in trouble. He was taken to the hospital experiencing weakness in his arms. No further word on Big Mo's condition. 4 laps to go. They finally got the green back out. Vasser will get the jump on the field. In particular, his teammate Zanardi and Jimmy will pull away to win the Nazareth 225, his first win of the season. And afterwards, of course, he celebrated with Zanardi, who followed him to the checkered flag. Prior to Monday's win at Nazareth, the Target Chip Ganassi team of Vasser and Zanardi had just a 3rd-place finish on a 1-mile track. That came last year at Milwaukee. After the race, Barlow Clane talked to Jimmy about the big victory.
The woes of Chip Ganassi's team were well documented going into this race, but did you ever think that you guys would finish 1-2 here?
I don't know. I don't think like that, but I knew we had a good car because we had a great test. Alex was happy with his car, and so was I, and you just never know what to expect. I was reserving my judgment until the race, and I was so happy that the car was consistent throughout the whole race, and we had a few hiccups, but we came back, and it's just fantastic, to win a race, finally get back in the winner's circle, get some points. It's good for my guys. We need to put a little win in their sails because we've had some bad races, just some bad luck this year. We're in a position to win, but it's just a great way to get the season rolling. It's a long way to go, and again, great for the Target Chip Ganassi racing team to do well on a 1-mile oval.
Jimmy, talk about the pit strategy. I understand at the time you didn't think it was the right thing to do.
No, I didn't. We basically had half a tank, but the guys were right behind me, Michael and Alex and those guys, with a full tank, and they were just directly behind me. So we had to pit no matter what in 25 laps, and we did. We pit under green, and we went a lap and a half down. But then they were going to have to pit later on. If they would have picked up a yellow in that time frame, then I would have ended up just a lap down. I would have never been able to come back. So it was a little bit of a chance, but maybe it turned out for the better in track position, and it helped us in the end. But I was a little nervous about that.
All right, congratulations.
Okay.
This is Jimmy Vassar's 6th career win.
Thanks, Marlo. Moore wound up third just ahead of Gilles de Ferran, who, by the way, provided Goodyear with its only appearance in the top 10. Paul Tracy finished 5th, while Bobby Rahal came through with a 6th-place finish in his 250th career start. Cool temperatures made it tough on the tires as far as grip was concerned, and some drivers also had problems with lap traffic.
For the speed our cars are traveling around those corners, if you lose it, I mean, you're really going to hit the wall hard. Besides the fact that we've never been competitive, that's what I don't really like.
In the last 5 or 6 laps, you know, I don't see if you're a back marker, what's the point of racing with the leaders? I mean, obviously you're too slow to race with the guys up front, so why don't you just let them by? And, you know, Brian let Alex by in the back straightaway, and then for some reason wanted to keep me behind him, which is unfortunate because I think Alex and I could have had a good race. But, you know, still not too disappointed we're leaving here with the championship lead, which is nice. But, you know, the most important thing is that we go to Rio and have a good race there.
Very, very tough. I mean, especially on the restarts, you know, it was very difficult to get them right. It was often there you get it really wiggling around and understeer, oversteer. It's very, very difficult to put about 900 horsepower on stone-cold tires.
Checking out more of the finishing order of Monday's Nazareth, 225. 7 drivers finished on the lead lap, including Robbie Gordon, who made his return to the Kart Series a very successful one, running as high as 3rd and posting Toyota's best ever finish.
I think that's the best finish for the Toyota, and I also believe it's the first time the Toyota's been on the lead lap at the end. So, you know, we're making strong gains. You know, we've been testing a lot. I've been telling people we've been testing a lot over the winter, and everyone's, yeah. Well, I think we showed it today that we did test a lot.
We had a problem with the fueling rig on the last stop, and that bumped us back a couple positions, and there really wasn't a lot of time to really recover from it because the pace was quick. Everybody was on new tires, and with that last yellow, that only gave a 5-lap sprint, and I had a couple of lapped cars between me and Gilles.
Had a horrible restart, got passed by Zanardi, Vassar, and Brian. Dropped back, got back up, so we kind of clawed our way back. Obviously, I'd like to have done better, but you know, we'll take it and go on with life from here.
I assume I just stood on it with the cold tires, and I just lit up the rears and lost it.
Were you having trouble with the tires before that, or were you pretty happy with them?
Real happy. Everything was perfect.
As we check out more of the finishing order of the Nazareth 225, on the right-hand column as you look at the screen, chassis, engine, tire. Like for Patrick Carpentier, finished 13th. Reynard, Mercedes, Firestone. Now, Scott Pruitt's car, we showed you, it caught fire. Now, Scott was not burned, but he wound up in the 22nd position as we look at the next panel. And Adrian Fernandez headed into the race points leader, but was taken out in a crash right after the start of the race. No weather problems at Talladega over the weekend. In fact, Sunday provided a perfect day for racing around the 2.66-mile superspeedway, and a race they did. But Bill Weber says they tempted fate too long, and the big one finally happened.
I think I got my left front on the apron a little bit and got me loose. And I was getting off the throttle quick, and I think I slid up a little bit and got in the back of the 3 car.
I was right in the middle of it. Wasn't a whole lot we could do about it. I was hitting stuff. I assume other cars, but I couldn't see them.
Well, I saw a lot of smoke, a lot of parts flying, a lot of cars breaking out of the smoke.
I just closed my eyes and just hung on. I mean, there's not much you can do when you start wrecking as fast as we're going.
I will say I think I caused it, and I know a lot of people in the past have speculated. Nobody took the blame for it, but that's not doing much good for all the race cars now.
No matter how smooth or how long it stays that way, restrictor plate racing puts the fan on the edge of his seat and the driver deeper in his. It's not a question of if, only when. Sunday, the Talladega Tail was no different. 140 laps clicked off without a crash. But it wasn't a matter of avoiding fate, only delaying it.
When the green flags started, you know, you just wonder when it's going to happen, who it's going to be, and if your cars are going to be in it. And it happened. So, I mean, what can you say? It's just restrictor plate racing.
I don't think there's a person in here that if they could be guaranteed a top 10 finish, they just load their car right up Sunday morning and leave. I mean, I don't really enjoy coming to these places, even as good as we run at them.
It's a nerve-wracking day, you know, and that deal that happened at the start-finish line, You know, I hate to see stuff like that happen, but those are the things that you worry about more than making a wrong decision on pit road.
You either miss it or you don't. Ain't no big deal. You know it's going to happen.
If a driver is lucky, he might sneak through it or around it, grateful for the gift, the chance to race on, but concerned about continuing and the chance it might happen again. Drivers know the danger, and that each season they must face 4 extremely difficult days.
It's just tough on you to sit there and bounce around all day and be 2 and 3 wide a lot of the time. And then you see something happen, you just hope that everybody's okay.
They were wrecking all around me. I was off on the brake, on the gas, on the brake, on the gas. Cars were sliding all over the place, going over top me or around me, and I made it through it. So I finished 12th, and that's not too bad for the day we were having.
I think, you know, the racetrack probably paid Rusty back for one of those that he didn't get through in the past, you know.
It's not good racing, though. Y'all can talk about all you want. It ain't good racing.
He's a racer. He wants to race, but this isn't racing here. Somebody is going to make a mistake when you try to run that many laps. There was a mistake made, and, you know, we're not upset about it. You know, it's just close racing. When that happens, you know, we just happen to be the one that was hung up in it.
Plate racing is thrilling to watch, and it's probably a more thrilling challenge to compete on the rare occasion when fortune overwhelms fate. But too often we found our heroes face to face with unfavorable odds and unpleasant results. Mistakes are a part of life, wrecks are a part of racing. But when the rules make for a volatile mixture of the two, the result is almost lethal.
That's a big complaint about restrictor plate racing. What do you do about it? I mean, it keeps the cars on the ground, keeps us safe from a fan standpoint from going into the catch fence, but when you got 20 cars that are always going to be running in this pack, especially, you know, a couple laps after a restart, which this one was, it's going to happen, and it's going to involve a lot of people.
I guess it is inevitable when you're running that close, the speeds we're running, because it's just, you don't have a control of the car too much. I mean, the car handles good, and you got control of it, but you're wide open, and you're at the mercy of the draft, and that's about it.
I feel like we're all out there risking our lives to put on a great show. I know it's a great show to watch, but it isn't any fun to drive.
Benny Parsons is back from Talladega. And Benny, you have to agree with Mark and the rest of them. They do put their lives on the line at the restrictor plate tracks, but nobody's figured out a way to make it totally safe for both the drivers and the fans. And I say fans because they are the #1 safety concern, right?
Well, they are, and the fans, but I think the fans are the people that ultimately have the decision about the Talladega and the banks and everything else, because as long as they buy the tickets and the demand for tickets outsupplies seats, I think we'll have racing like we have at Talladega on and on.
Now, not to say that you've been against restrictor plate races, but you say there's one way that you could actually eliminate that, and that's to do some construction in the turns, right?
Well, again, I talked about that for a long, long time. It's back as far back as 1987. I talked about the only way to really eliminate the restrictor plates is to eliminate the banks. But again, the people, the fans, love those tracks. But, you know, so where is the balance between the fan and the driver? Because I don't want to see, you know, yesterday when Bill Elliott hit that wall, John, I cringed inside because I said, oh my gosh, Bill might be hurt. And none of us wants to see that. Earnhardt, all those guys in that crash, nobody wants to see those drivers get hurt.
But you know, despite the big crash that they always say happens at the plate races, unlike some of the restrictor plate races over the last few years, there was actually racing going on. I mean, the last few laps, you had no idea who was going to win. Unlike in the past where the guy out in front, you knew pretty much he was going to win. Must have been great sitting up there in the booth watching that.
It was very, very exciting. And I guess it was pretty doggone excited for those drivers and the cars, because I'm sure that they felt like no one knew who was going to win the race. I'm sure Bobby Labonte, until he crossed that line, was not sure and convinced that he, in fact, was going to win that race. And Spencer, I mean, he tried. Through the trouble, Spencer tried to see if he could get a run, so he felt like there might be something there.
You know, NASCAR took 3 of the cars. It took Bobby, Terry Labonte, Dale Jarrett's cars to the wind tunnel. They're going to do some wind tunnel tests. It appeared to me, if you looked at qualifying and the cars that you'd expect to be up front, Fords, they've got a problem with their drag coefficient, I think it looks like, at the big restrictor plate tracks. I know Ford officials have been lobbying for some help with that. Do you take that result plus the wind tunnel result and say, see, we told you so?
I think so. You know, and again, I think they take the evidence that NASCAR has taken spoiler away from those cars at other racetracks. Like when we go to California this weekend, the Ford Taurus will have less rear spoiler than the Chevrolet Monte Carlo, which is saying that the Ford has more drag than the Chevrolet Monte Carlo. So when you go to the big tracks and they have the same spoiler as the Chevrolet Monte Carlo, that should say, well, the Fords are disadvantaged. But that's why NASCAR is taking these cars to the wind tunnel, just to find out what the true numbers are.
Now, Rusty Wallace wound up 12th in his Ford. He said that the cars just didn't want to draft very well. In fact, his crew chief Robin Pemberton said that they got a little bit lucky because Rusty made it through the big wreck. Now, that's the kind of luck you need throughout a season to win a championship, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you've got to have that. And we saw Rusty drive through. And, folks, you saw on the onboard camera yesterday when Rusty drove through that crash, he could see nothing because his windshield was almost the same way. But he did get some damage. A little bit of damage in the nose that might have hurt that car a little bit at the end. Maybe he could have finished 7th or 8th had he not had that damage to the nose. But all in all, he had a car that had 4 wheels, 4 fenders, so you'd have to say he was pretty doggone lucky.
All right, stick around, Benny. Later on RPM tonight, drivers go to the extreme to make this week's edition of Speed Shots. And when we come back, another 1-2 punch for Target Chip Ganassi. Heading into the Nazareth 225 this year, nobody considered the Target Chip Ganassi team of Jimmy Vasser and Alex Zanardi a threat to contend for the victory. All you had to do was look at their records on the 1-mile ovals. But Marlo Klain says they didn't take those records into consideration as they prepared for Monday's race.
After winning back-to-back championships in 1996 and 97, the only jewel missing in Target Chip Ganassi's racing crown was a victory on a 1-mile oval. Saturday's qualifying gave no indication that the team would end their 1-mile woes. But end it they did, with Jimmy Vasser and Alex Zanardi finishing 1-2.
We worked real hard here about 3 weeks ago, just after Long Beach, to try to get us set up, and we changed our theory 100%, and the car was great. I mean, it wasn't perfect, though. We still have some things to do, but it was much better. It was real consistent.
I'm delighted for the team, for Jimmy Vasser, my teammate, which is a great guy. And with him grabbing the big cup, it has a very special taste, and it's fantastic. I just hope that somebody will address me to the press conference because I don't know my way there. I mean, I've never been there in the past 3 years.
The monkey's finally off our back on these mile ovals. They've been our Achilles heel since the inception of this team, and I just couldn't be happier, especially with these two guys.
Anytime a team goes 1-2, it's just an incredible feeling. It's much more so because this is the only way that I can go back to the shop without one of them being a loser. So we did it in 96 at Mid-Ohio, and now to repeat it here, absolutely incredible.
The last time a team finished 1-2, it was also Target Chip Ganassi Racing. That was at Mid-Ohio in 1996. But for that race, it was Alex Zanardi who finished first and Jimmy Vasser who finished second. In Nazareth, I'm Marlo Klain.
Thank you, Marlo. Checking out the points, Zanardi moves to within 1 point of the lead in the Car FedEx Championship Series standings. He has 50 points to 51 for Greg Moore. Adrian Fernandez drops from the lead to third, followed by Gilles DeFerrin and Vasser. Coming up next, tires play a huge role in one of DW's many wins on Today in NASCAR history. A new tire rule was in effect for the 1980 Virginia 500. NASCAR said no teams could change tires under caution, and those who did would be penalized 2 laps. The rule said all drivers had to take the green flag and pit the next time around. Darrell Waltrip led the first 185 laps of the race, but after the 3rd caution of the day, DW pitted for a change of tires as the field took the green flag.
Well, we were going to follow the pace car down the pit lane because the field would be real slow at that point, thinking that we were taking the green, but we were going to take it in the pits. And you had to be on the racetrack. I don't remember exactly how it went, but I think you had to take the green on the racetrack or some deal. But anyway, we lost 4 laps. They penalized you 1 lap per tire for pitting too soon. And you talking about a bunch of guys that were raising Cain and hollering, and yeah, we were even doing a little cussing. And but it turned out to be the right thing to do because there were no more cautions. I think Allison blew a tire, and Baker blew a tire, and Richard blew a tire. Everybody was blowing out their tires because they were running them until they wore out. And there we are, the blind lucky, come in there and got 4, and we won the race.
Waltrip and crew took their 3rd win of the season 18 years ago on April 27th, and the new tire rule disappeared a few days later. Benny Parsons is still with us. BP, you ever come from 4 laps down to win a race?
I don't think so, John. No. I remember Richard Petty came from 9 laps down, I think, at Dover one time, won the race.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hey, the Busch Series implemented a new rule of the weekend qualifying at the restrictor plate tracks in the race involving the shocks and the springs. Was it a success, and do you think we'll see that in Winston Cup?
I don't know, John, because doggone, the shots I saw, those drivers still had a very, very rough ride with those springs and shocks they used. And as long as they can police it. You know, after the race was over, they had some discussion about the shocks that Nemechek had didn't meet or what. I mean, I don't know anything about the shock absorbers today because that's black magic as far as I'm concerned. But it's a good rule. It's a great rule if they can police it.
Speaking of black magic, let's talk fuel mileage. California this weekend. Jeff Gordon won on fuel mileage last year. Same strategy this year, I guess.
It seems like every time we go to Michigan and California, we're talking about fuel mileage. And here's why. Those racetracks are so wide, you very seldom see a caution flag, just not in a way that drivers can get in any trouble. So now, if your car can run 100 miles, you can make it on 4 stops. If the guy beside you can only run 95 miles, he's got to stop 5 times. Puts you at a huge advantage.
And guess what, Benny? I'll be there with you in California to watch all the action. They're letting me out of the studio. We're at pit road.
Attaboy, John.
All right, so we'll see you then. We'll also see you back here Monday night.
All right, John.
Coming up next on RPM Tonight, we take you inside all the weekend's excitement with Speed Shots.
Speed Shots is brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. For what you drive and the way you drive it, the choice is clear.
Oh, Michael's running. He has spun it.
Stay on there. Just stay right there, Tire.
Hey, we got you coming and going.
Oh, again.
Hard in the wall. Trouble!
Big crash up in the corner.
Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming.
If you thought that was exciting, just wait until you see Sunday's race in California. Live, starting at 3:30 Eastern, only on ESPN. We'll be back in a few minutes.
RPM Tonight is being brought to you by Best Buy. Now that's a great idea.
Bill Elliott suffered just a bruised sternum in the crash at Talladega Sunday. Elliott's team had added some extra window netting and some extra padding on the left side of the seat prior to last week, and that appeared to do the job because Bill says now it only hurts when he laughs. Dennis Setzer, though, will be in California to provide assistance if needed. Tuesday, Dr. Jerry Punch makes his weekly house call. Jan Beekes will be here, too. We'll see you then.